Ancient Egypt, the science, secrets, and spirit of the pharaohs. In the golden sands of the Sahara, beneath the scorching sun and eternal blue sky, lies the cradle of one of the most astonishing civilizations the world has ever known, ancient Egypt. For over 3,000 years, Egypt thrived, creating wonders of engineering, developing a profound understanding of science and medicine, mapping the stars, and leaving behind stories etched in stone. This isn't just the story of kings and queens. It's the story of a civilization obsessed with order, balance, and eternity. Welcome to the secrets, the science, and the soul of ancient Egypt. In this journey, we'll travel from the source of their lifeblood to the stars they worshipped. We'll uncover how these ancient people measured time, healed the sick, preserved the dead, and built monuments that still defy explanation. Prepare to see a world where mythology and technology walked hand in hand. Chapter 1. The Nile, River of Life. The Nile was more than a river, it was Egypt's heartbeat. Every July, it flooded. Every October, it receded. And in its wake, it left behind the black silt, rich soil that birthed civilization. The Egyptians divided the year into 3 seasons based on the Nile's rhythm. Akhet, the inundation, Peret, the growing season, and Shamu, the harvest. This cycle didn't just shape agriculture, it shaped time itself. Settlements flourished along the banks. Trade and communication flowed easily. The Nile was their road, their wellspring, their boundary against chaos. The river brought order to their world, predictable, life-giving, divine. They honored it with hymns and festivals. The god Hapi, spirit of the Nile, was depicted as an androgynous figure representing fertility and abundance. Entire cities, including Thebes and Memphis, grew around its shores. Pharaohs were crowned and buried close to its sacred waters. The Nile didn't just sustain Egypt, it defined it. To understand ancient Egypt, we begin where everything began, at the water's edge. Chapter 2. Hieroglyphs, the sacred script. Hieroglyphs. For the ancient Egyptians, writing was more than communication. It was divine. Hieroglyphs, meaning sacred carvings, were believed to have been given by the god Thoth. These symbols could represent objects, sounds, or concepts. Hieroglyphs could be phonetic, ideographic, or determinative. Their complexity allowed layers of meaning. A single phrase could be poetry, history, and theology all at once. T-quote long with a complication of knowledge. Scribes were essential. They recorded taxes, decrees, prayers, dreams. Trained for years, they became society's memory keepers. Kek. Papyrus scrolls documented everything: grain harvests, legal contracts, medical knowledge, and myths. The written word was immortal. 2000. 80-day, Son Leem's hieroglyphs, whether his reticide and injurious have pinning on the RP Steen, in property practice program, spacing Ballergers and Markles and Rhines. After the last hieroglyph was written in 394 AD, the language was forgotten. It would remain a mystery for over 1,400 years, until a single stone found in Rosetta changed everything. Taman. Champollion deciphered the symbols by comparing them with known Greek. He unlocked the door to a silent world. 80-day, steaming on their heist out of Engler. Now temples agreed they Delas and Karsa's research. Now temples speak again, and the people of Egypt have their voice restored. Chapter 3. Mummification and the Afterlife. In the land of Egypt, death was not feared, it was prepared for. To live forever, one had to preserve the body. The embalmers were artists and scientists. The process took 70 days. The body was washed, organs removed, dried with natron, and wrapped in linen charms. The lungs, liver, stomach, and intestines were stored in canopic jars, protected by the sons of Horus. The heart, the seat of emotion and morality, stayed inside. In the afterlife, it would be weighed. Too heavy and it would be eaten by the demon Ammit, but if balanced with the feather of Mot, the soul would live forever. Every step of the journey was mapped. Tombs were filled with food, clothes, tools, and text to help the soul navigate the underworld. Mummification wasn't about death. It was about eternal life. Chapter 4: Science and Medicine. Egyptian science was born from observation of the body, the earth, and the stars. Imhotep, the polymath who designed the step pyramid, was also revered as a god of healing. Under his influence, temples became centers of knowledge and medicine. The Ebers and Edwin Smith papyri describe over 700 remedies and procedures, from stitching wounds to treating burns with honey and resins. Healing combined physical and spiritual practices. Physicians used prayers alongside salves. Diagnosis was empirical. Prognosis was philosophical. They understood anatomy through mummification. They tracked the pulse, treated dental issues, and even developed prosthetics. For the Egyptians, health was balance. Illness meant disorder. Healing was restoration. Chapter 5: Mathematics and Measurement. How do you measure a kingdom that stretches over 1,000 kilometers? How do you build pyramids with perfect precision? You begin with mathematics. The Egyptians developed a practical math system: the cubit, the palm, the digit, all based on the human body. Rope stretchers used 12-knot ropes to form perfect right angles. They could calculate area, volume, and fractions. They recorded these skills on the rind mathematical papyrus: how to divide bread, share grain, build ramps. Their math wasn't abstract. It was architectural, agricultural, legal. It shaped tombs and temples. It governed the cosmos. In every brick laid, every tomb aligned, Egypt's silent numbers still speak. Chapter 6: Astronomy, Mapping the Heavens. Above Egypt, the stars turned. Below, the people watched and learned. They tracked the movements of Sirius, Orion, and the circumpolar stars. These weren't just celestial bodies, they were gods and guides. The rising of Sirius heralded the Nile flood. Orion was Osiris, god of the dead. The Milky Way was the heavenly Nile. Temples and pyramids were aligned to cardinal points, solstices, and equinoxes. Light entered hidden chambers only on specific days, illuminating statues. Their calendar had 365 days. Their clocks measured day and night. Their sky told them when to plant, when to pray, when to build. They read the stars not just for time, but for eternity. Chapter 7: Architecture and Engineering Wonders. The greatest legacy of Egypt is its architecture. Stone on stone, built to last forever. The pyramids of Giza remain one of humanity's greatest engineering feats. 2.3 million blocks perfectly aligned. How are they built? No one knows for certain. But across Egypt, they built more than tombs. They built symbols. Obelisks that touched the sun, temples that echoed the cosmos. Each monument followed sacred geometry. Each was part of a divine order. Architecture was not just physical, it was metaphysical. Even today, their structures challenge our understanding. Their stones still whisper secrets. Chapter 8: Philosophy, Order, Chaos, and the Search for Ma'at. At the heart of ancient Egypt was not just gods or monuments, but an idea, a principle, a philosophy that governed life and death, kings and peasants, the stars and the soil. That idea was Ma'at. Ma'at represented truth, justice, harmony, and cosmic order. She was both a goddess and a universal law. To live according to Ma'at was to live in balance with the world and oneself. The pharaoh was called the Lord of Ma'at. His role was not to rule with force, but to preserve divine order. Every law passed, every war fought, every temple built had to align with Ma'at. Egyptian philosophy was deeply ethical. Texts like the Maxims of Ptahhotep taught humility, patience, and responsibility. They urged self-control, kindness to others, and reverence for wisdom. They believed in duality, order and chaos, light and darkness. The universe was not static, but always in tension. Our duty was to keep balance. Their creation stories reflected this. From the chaos of none emerged Atum, who created the world through thought and speech. Philosophy was embedded in mythology, shaping every aspect of Egyptian identity. To the Egyptians, a good life was one of harmony, not only with the gods, but with family, society, and nature. Their greatest teaching wasn't in stone or scrolls, but in how to live a meaningful life, with balance, with wisdom, with ma'at. Closing chapter, the legacy of Egypt. What remains today is only a fraction of what once was, but the legacy of ancient Egypt is everywhere, in our medicine, our math, our stories, and our dreams. They sought immortality, and in a way, they found it. So the next time you look at the stars, calculate a number, or speak of eternity, remember, Egypt is still with us. Please don't forget to like, subscribe, and tell me which ancient civilization you want us to explore next. See you next time, on my way.